Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to cover the past week and the top headlines in my opinion and my reaction to these headlines. Basically, we're 2 weeks away from the Bitcoin halving, and we know what happens if history were to repeat in this space. So we're on and very excited for bigger and better things to come. So let's get into it. Let's take about the past week and what happened, and basically let's just look forward. So guys, if I missed anything, please leave it in the comments. If you like the video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of the content similar to this, as far as me looking for the next gems and trying to find different altcoins that will moon this next bull cycle, subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it and talk about the past headlines of this week. So if we look at the coin market cap, the global crypto market cap is at 2.5 trillion. That's an increase of 2.5, so that's good. Bitcoin dominance is at 52.7, ETH dominance at 15.8, and we look at the fear and greed, it's around 75, which is just greed, not extreme greed. So things are looking good. We're trading sideways overall, but again, we got 2 weeks before things should be skyrocketing. So this is probably your last chance to get into some of these projects at a good price. So we see Bitcoin at 69,000 at the time of the video, ETH at 3,400, Solana 181, XRP at 59 cents. So for the past 7 days, XRP is up 1.3%. Solana's up 3.9% for the past day, even with all everything going on around it with the FUD. Cardano's up 2.4% at 59 cents. That's the 24-hour number. For the 24-hour number, we see Toncoin, which is in the top 10 now. It surpassed Avalanche. Avalanche at $48, Toncoin at 5.4. So Toncoin is interesting. If we look at the market cap, though, Toncoin has a market cap of 18 billion already, and Avalanche is 18 billion as well. So give or take, this is the difference here between the two. I don't know. I mean, Toncoin has the use case for being involved with Telegram and having that user base. But I don't know. I think there's more utility here with Avalanche. Just my opinion. But that's it right now as far as looking at the charts and looking at the top 10 numbers. So things are trading sideways. Now let's take a look at the L1s and what's going on there. If we look at the daily active addresses and we'll filter it from top to bottom, we see NEARS at 1.8 million. Solana's at 1.1 million. ETH at 462. Granted, we have L2s too, so this is just the ETH mothership numbers. Aptos at 125, Avalanche C Chain 51,000, ADA at 41,000, Phantom at 26,000, Injective only 19,000. Wow. Sui 15,000, and Say at 4,700. So that's kind of low. And if you look at the 3-month change, so NEARS have an uptake of 89.4, Solana over 100%, ETH 27%, Aptos 13%, and Avalanche 3.4. And if you look at the bottom there, and those are the numbers as far as daily active addresses and the drop off. But all of that should change once we hit peak bull, you would hope. Now let's look at daily transactions, right? Daily transactions, and let's filter that from the top on. We see Solana has the most as far as 25 million transactions. Near has 7.4. Say has 3.9. And that's interesting how daily active addresses are low, but then they're third in daily transactions, which is very interesting to me. Injective 1.4, and then Sui 1.4, ETH 1.2, Aptos 800, Avalanche 252, and Phantom 163. Then you have ADA at 57,000. So that's what we got there. Let's take a look at DeFi as far as what's going on with these chains as well for the week. So we see that Ethereum total value locks at 51.9. 7-day change down 3.3%. We'll skip through Tron. Solana, let's see here, 7-day down 6.9%. They have total value locked of 4.5 billion. Arbitrum, 7-day down 4.3. They're at 3.1 billion. Blast, they're actually up 3%, and they're at 1.4 billion. We have Bitcoin. Look at that. For a 7-day change, they're up 66.5 with 1.3 billion locked. Base is hot right now, right? Base is up 12%, and they have a total value lock of 1.3. And I'm not going to go over all of these guys, but just I'm looking at the highlighting the big ones. We see that Avalanche is down 6.9% for the week, but they have total value locked of 1.19 billion. And then there you have it. Let's take a look at ADA. ADA is down 7%, and they have total value locked at 387 million. And this is on DeFi Llama, so you can check this at your leisure. But that's what's going on as far as DeFi goes on these L1 chains. Now, let's take a look at institutional inflows for the week. What are institutional money, big banks, what are they putting their money on? What do they think is basically has ROI, worth their while? We see weekly inflows into Bitcoin, obviously, with the ETFs and the like, 865 million. Ethereum had an outflow of 18.9 million, so they took that out. But if you look at the year-to-date inflows, Ethereum has 67 million in. Look at this. Look at that number for Bitcoin. So we look at Solana this week, 6.1 million inbounds, and if we look at the year-to-date flows, 8 million into Solana. Litecoin had 200,000 into it. Year-to-date flows, 8 million. XRP, 300,000 weekly inflows, and then for the year, about 11 million into it. ADA, 1.1 million, and for year-to-date flow, 6 million. So, and then we look at DOT, 2.4 million, year-to-date flow, 16 million. So institutions are, looks like they're bullish on Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, of course, and even Ethereum's and Bitcoin, obviously. So, like I say, you always want to follow smart money sometimes. Now let's take a look at the ETFs. US ETFs, what have they done this past week? According to HODL 15 Capital, week 13. So all the inflows as far as Bitcoin from the ETFs, including Grayscale, netted 7,376 Bitcoins. In total, since ETFs launched, 222,000 Bitcoin have been added. That is crazy. And the Bitcoin halving hasn't even taken place. So if we illustrate this in the graph, you see here, basically just green, right? Inflows. And you can expect the next 2 weeks for it to heighten because they know what happens after the halving takes place. So very bullish for the Bitcoin space. So I'm going on a little Bitcoin run now just because there's a lot of headlines surrounding Bitcoin. So hang on with me there. BlackRock adds Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, UBS as authorized participants for Bitcoin ETF. What does that mean? So we just looked at this chart, right? You see all the inflows already in. Now, authorized participants, these big banks, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, blah, 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 they hold a billion to trillions in assets. And they're just going to add liquidity to these ETFs. So basically going to be more money being pulled in, more Bitcoin being bought. And I think if anything, this is positive for the space. So we'll see. So the names again are Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, UBS, Citadel Securities, and ABN AMRO. For the iShares Bitcoin Trust, we know ran by BlackRock. So be on the lookout for that. Next, Silk Road Bitcoin worth 2 billion moved by the U.S. government on-chain data says. So basically this week, the U.S. or DOJ sold some Bitcoin, and I believe it was moved to basically spot trading on Coinbase, and that has some pressure on the Bitcoin as well as far as the price goes. So you have U.S. selling, you have Grayscale still dumping, and although the ETFs are buying, that's that's the price remains where it is. It's still in the high 60s. And can you imagine if we didn't have the ETFs going on right now and all this dumping happening? The price of Bitcoin would probably be extremely low right now. And Grayscale can't sell forever. They're probably going to be done in the next 2 weeks. And the U.S. doesn't have that much Bitcoin to keep selling. So just wait and be patient. Right now, I think it's good. We're trading sideways. Still good entry points for a lot of people based on where I know this thing is going to go. So they sold, and basically it's stuff they got from hackers, Silk Road, yada, yada. So that's what happened too. That probably impacted the price. Next, we have the Fed. Fed chair in Minnesota. His name is Neil Kashkari, sorry. And he said that Bitcoin can go down to zero. And he kind of relates Bitcoin as far as the craze as to Beanie Babies. So if you weren't around back in the 90s, Beanie Babies were kind of all the hype. And they were selling them on eBay for crazy amounts of money, secondhand. And he's basically comparing Bitcoin to that. Now, we have to put things in context because this guy is a banker. right? His interest is to protect the banks and the U.S. banking system. So I understand why he would say this about Bitcoin and put the FUD out there so people can be scared away and still continue to put their money into the banking system. He goes on to say that, it can go down to zero, and it compared to the Beanie Babies with no actual utility in the economy, other than being a nice toy that some people enjoy owning and trading. He added that the only use cases he has seen are cases where traders are trying to subvert banking regulations, get around either marijuana, banking, or illicit activities. The same arguments most of these bankers and people that are against crypto have been saying as well. But did you know that to get around banking regulations, you use cash, right? That's still the form for illegal activities. They want to use cash because you can't trace it. Blockchain, you can trace it. You can trace a wallet address. But again, for most people who don't know, this is the FUD that they spread. This guy, Elizabeth Warren, and the like. So now, what he doesn't want to talk about, look at this. 2 million stolen from Bank of America account in a devastating scam. So basically, an elderly lady had this money. People were calling her saying, "Hey, we noticed some stuff going on with your account, with your social security number, etc." The normal scam. She provided whatever information and they just drained her accounts. Now she is suing Bank of America saying that they allowed the transactions even though they were out of the ordinary. So 67-year-old in Florida, and she said they failed to adequately protect her from a scheme that drained 2 million from her accounts. That's what they did. So if the banks are here and they're supposed to protect the consumer, if they know that these transactions are out of the ordinary, why didn't they call her, let her know, hey, this is going on. Did you authorize these things? No, that didn't happen. Did not. So SEC and everybody is saying that they're there to protect the consumer. Where is he for stuff like this? If your thing's on your wallet, no one can do this unless you give up your seed phrase or you connect your wallet to somehow and they drain it. But this would not happen if you bank yourself with Bitcoin and crypto. So just saying. So when you hear people spreading FUD, the bankers spreading FUD, they don't talk about stuff like this. This is the type of stuff that's why we want to bank ourselves. And he also, the SEC guy in Minnesota, won't talk about this either. S&P Global downgrades 5 U.S. banks, warns lenders hold billions of dollars in loans that they may face material deterioration. So the banks in question are First Commonwealth Financial Corp, M&T Bank Corp, which is a big bank, Synovus Financial, Trustmark, and Valley National Bank Corp. And the report or the article goes on to cite that their exposure to commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is a big thing, and it started with the C-19. After that happened, a lot of people moved out of office spaces, working remote, and I don't think a lot of buildings have recovered from that. So you have a lot of these loans that either aren't being paid or deferred, and some of these banks have a lot of exposure to that. And when things come to a head, we'll see what happens with it, but it won't be good. So if you bank with any of these corporations or these banks, you may want to take a look at it. But again, this is a further use case for Bitcoin, right? We don't have to deal with any of this. So that's what's going on there. Again, having April 20th, give or take, which I believe is next Friday or 2 Fridays from now. So hold on to everything. Make sure you're not selling, you're not getting fudded out by the people that are playing games on the media and all of that. You know how valuable of an asset you have. Continue to hold. And if you don't have Bitcoin with your alts, when you make your crazy gains, not financial advice, but you may consider putting some of it into Bitcoin as a safety net. But very exciting times, guys. Now we have Solana. There's been some bottlenecks and basically failed transactions. And because of that, you have people, leaders of different chains and projects going at Solana. I made a video about this yesterday. Basically, and we looked at the daily transaction numbers, daily active addresses. When you're at the top and you see others that aren't at the top and they want your spot, they're going to find any disadvantage that you have and they're going to start pointing at it. And I like Cardano as a project. I hold Cardano. I'm going to continue to get Cardano and stack my bags. But we have Charles Hoskinson, leader of the Cardano clan, and he posted this about the Cardano bottlenecks and the failed transactions. So Cointelegraph tweeted, data shows that more than 75% of all transactions on Solana are currently failing. However, proponents argue it's primarily bot spam. And then Charles tweeted this GIF out right here. And James of Invest Answers responded with this. He said 11,000% of the transactions versus ADA, 19,000 higher DEX volume, 12,000 higher TBL, 16,000 higher stable coin volume, 260% the Twitter following despite Cardano being around 3 years longer, 40 times the daily active users of ADA, and 36,000 more returns since 2021. And he goes on to say that Hoskinson is delusional. Now, I don't like this, because I like both projects. The crypto space is so big that both people can work on their projects. They can even work together, work separately, and still be successful. I don't think you need this. I don't think you need just the back and forth and all of that. Solana is a good project. Yes, it's going through things right now, but it's a victim of their own success, and they're pushing the limits. And that's what I like about that project. They're pushing the limits. ADA is, decentralized and all those good things. They have a lot of things working for them. They still have a lot of projects, a lot of upgrades upcoming, and just let it be at that. But this was interesting, and I don't get it. I don't agree with Charles on this one. I think that, they're going through a hiccup right now. Hopefully it's resolved. Anatoly talked about it. They're working on it. So we'll see what happens. But again, I made a video about the Solana and everything happening there. If you want to see it, take a look at my history and take a look at that video. So massive SOL liquidation by FTX estate nets nearly $2 billion. So another FUD piece on Solana was that FTX held a lot of Solana. And the fear was, especially during the bull cycle, that a lot of it was going to be dumped onto the retail space just to take profit. However, it was recently acquired. So Galaxy Trading, Pantera Capital, and Neptune Digital have acquired nearly 2/3 of FTX staked SOL for a price of $64. And is basically held invested for 4 years. So they can't just dump on the market like everyone was anticipating. So I think this FUD right now has been wiped out. We don't have to worry about this for another 4 years. That put us to the next bull cycle. So that's very positive. So I thought that was very interesting. Next, we have Do Kwon, founder of Terra. And he basically was one of the main catalysts for, us ending the bull cycle earlier than needed because of this. But he was found liable in the U.S. civil trial. So I don't think any sentencing has happened yet, but he's still around. People really don't talk about this anymore, but he was one of the catalysts that ended the things that were going on last bull. So a jury in Manhattan found Singapore-based Terraforms Lab and its co-founder Do Kwon liable for civil fraud charges on Friday, agreeing with the SEC that he misled investors before their stablecoins collapsed in 2022. Shocking the crypto market space. And then lastly, we're going to leave with this. This is very bullish. Zeus Network is launched on Solana. Right now, we're dealing with the FUD on the congestion issues and all of that. But this will serve as a bridge between Bitcoin assets and Solana, the SVM, Solana Virtual Machine. And that can be very good. Right now, we have, as far as an L2 for Bitcoin, that would be Stacks, right? And if you look at the investor in Zeus Network, one of the investors is the co-founder or founder of Stacks onto Zeus. This is very interesting. It just launched on April 4th. I'm waiting for the price to go down a bit. Basically, if you had staked your Jupiter and you voted on the launch pad for some of these things that they had earlier on, you'd have gotten airdrops from Zeus. But if you're not part of that clan, it's still time to get onto Zeus, but I'm waiting for the price to come down. I will be making a video on Zeus. This is a very interesting project here. You have a hyped and very usable chain, at least not at the moment, Solana, versus Bitcoin, which is the Mac Daddy, the big daddy of the crypto space. And if you connect those two, things should be very interesting. And I could see the price of this being very high. We already saw what Bitcoin did to the price of Stacks. And if you add this use case onto Zeus, things should be very interesting. So that's what we got for the week here, guys. I hope you liked the video. Hope you're ready for the next week to come ahead. Just not only with crypto, but just spending time with your family and friends, focusing on your health so you can enjoy the next year and a half of glory that's going to happen on this space, as long as you're in the right projects. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, talk to you later. Bye.